Black Widow has been the worst hero since the launch of Marvel Rivals, consistently having the worst win rate out of every hero since Season 0. But what if I told you that this character is actually crazy busted and has the potential to straight up solo carry games? My name is Johnny, and this video is going to have every tip and trick I have learned from my over 200 hours of playing Black Widow. First things first, if you are picking Widow over other hit scan like Phoenix, Hela, or even Elsa at this point, what you need to understand is she does not play like those hit scans. She plays very different, and that means you have to angle yourself differently when playing her. First, we need to figure out what Widow provides that the other hit scans don't. If you are picking Widow over Hela, you are now sacrificing Hela's consistent damage for Widow's high mobility and consistent stun. Phoenix, however, just straight up has a better kit than Hela and Widow right now, so the only thing Widow would provide over Phoenix is more pressure long range and a more 1v1able stun. Your team comp will drastically change how you play Widow. If your team is running Brawl, you provide hard-hitting shots to enemy tanks to send them right back to spawn. If your team is running Dive though, you aim at the healers and mark them so that your Black Panther or Spider-Man can finish off the Luna that's now 1 HP. The way you want to play Widow is more aggressive than you think. You don't want to be in the very back behind your healers, you want to be behind your tanks. Widow has some of the highest mobility in the game. Don't just sit on the ground. The Red Room Rifle and Straight Shooter are Widow's main damage dealing weapons. Rifle does 120 on a body shot and 240 on a headshot, with fall off beginning at 10 meters and maxing out at 20 meters at 50% of your damage. Past 15 meters, I'd recommend just scoping in to take the shot, unless your enemy is already 1 HP. Widow cannot one-shot enemies except for Bruce Banner, unless you have a Mantis damage boost, a Storm damage boost, or the enemy you are fighting has damage vulnerability applied to them, like from your ult or from Cloak's Shade. There is a 0.3 second delay from when you scope in to when you fire, where you won't do full damage. Instead of firing a sniper round, you will instead fire a hipfire shot, meaning you will have fall off. Your gun will play a small click to let you know that your shot is chambered. This is what it sounds like. Widow does have an animation cancel when she reloads, but it's nowhere as useful as Strange's, and if you mess it up, only results in you not reloading your weapon. When using her scope, you will suffer no damage fall off when you shoot, no matter how far away you are from your target. While playing Widow, I recommend that you unscope after every shot just to make sure that you're not too tunnel visioned at a choke point. And I also recommend that you move after every couple of shots, not after every shot, just so the enemy doesn't know where you are at all times. Another good habit for Widow is to just take your time, take a deep breath. Don't stress out about hitting your shots too much. The more you stress, the more you're gonna tense up. The more tense you are, the worse you'll do in terms of aiming. When you play Widow, you don't want to be freaked out. You don't want to stress out too much. Once you start stressing out, you'll start missing your shots, which will just spiral into you having a very negative accuracy at the end of the game. Widow's next weapon is her Widow's Bite batons. There's no use for these. Besides hitting a mag or a strange through shield, there's no real point in using these over just your quick melee with your gun. They do the same amount of damage. The batons do hit faster, but that's about it. Out of all of Widow's kit, these are absolutely her worst. Just really don't use these. On a brighter note, let's move to Widow's most useful, in my opinion, ability, Fleet Foot. Fleet Foot gives Widow a stamina bar with 120 stamina points in it, losing points as you sprint, meaning you have 10 seconds to sprint and roughly 5 jumps in a row. Each jump takes out 24 stamina points and will recharge over about 4 seconds from empty to full. When you are in the air after your power jump, you can aim and shoot, though I wouldn't recommend it until you are more capable on aiming with Widow, as the constant movement of the jump will mess with your aim and more often than not make you miss a very easy shot. As great as this power is, it's not without its faults, of course. If you try and power jump right as you run out of stamina to power jump, it will shoot you up in the air and then right back down in one frame. It is very jarring. You can also not reload while sprinting. It will bring you to a very sudden halt and can get you killed if you try and reload in an inopportune time. Widow's next ability is easily her best, and that's Edge Dancer. This is a 2-part kick stun combo that has a 5-meter range and is the bane for most dive players. When you activate Edge Dancer, it will perform a roundhouse kick in front of her that will hit in front, behind, to the left, and to the right of her within 5 meters, just like Spider-Man's uppercut pre-nerf. Once your roundhouse lands, you will be given a 5-second timer to select any enemy of your choosing, to then grapple to and initiate a 1-second stun that slightly launches the enemy into the air. Upon landing the grapple part of the stun, your current round in your gun will be immediately rechambered, allowing you to fire instantly. Just like Fleetfoot, however, there are some issues. When grappling to an enemy to stun them, certain characters can knock you out of the animation, which will cancel the stun. Spider-Man's uppercut is an easy one to get knocked with, so be careful of him. Another thing to be wary of is that you can grapple to non-player enemies, meaning Namor Squids and Squirrel Girl Stampede, which will most often than not lead to your death. I highly recommend that when you go to initiate your grapple, you do jump first, then that way you won't get stuck on any kind of little piece of map geometry that could cancel your stun. Widow's ult has been widely considered one of the worst ults in the game, right up there with the likes of Scarlet Witch's Reality Erasure and Penny's Spider Sweep. Due to this, I would recommend that you just look at her ult as less of an ultimate ability and more just an ability with a really long cooldown. Widow's ult is great for cleaning up solo kills and setting up debuffs on enemies that your team can follow up on. Widow's ult provides 2 main debuffs to enemies. That's a 55% slow, and on direct hit, a 15% vulnerability effect applied. At 0 charge, the explosion will only do 120 damage at a 5.6-ish meter range, and then once you fully charge it after 0.5 seconds, it will do 170 with an 8 meter radius. I highly recommend that you combo your Widow ult with a fellow Phoenix ult to ensure huge damage to the enemy team. Earlier in the guide, I went over the playstyle of how to play Widow. Now we're going to get into the counters for Widow and who Widow herself counters. First things first, and to the shock of no one, we have Magneto. Magneto's entire kit is a hard counter to Widow. With the bubble he can give to himself, his teammates, his shield, this little spinny rock, I don't know what it's called, but that can stun you out of your kick, and his ultimate to boot off that can suck up yours. It's not a fun time to play Widow into Magneto. Doctor Strange and Emma are on the same level of annoyance for Widow player, only due to the fact that they have shields. Nothing really in their kit counters you besides a shield, and for both of those heroes, their shield is pretty easy to break. I'm going to be lumping Captain America and Venom together since they are both dive tanks. A good Cap and a good Venom will not let you play the game. They will be in your face the entire match. You will see 19 inches and you will hear the American anthem constantly that match. You won't get a chance to play Widow if a good one of them is on the enemy team. I'm going to be putting Groot in his own category right here, purely because I hate Groot. This is a personal vendetta. I hate teammate Groots. I hate enemy Groots. The walls are not hard to play around, but they are more obnoxious than anything. You can break a normal wall in about 2 to 3 shots, charged or not. He's not the worst to play against. He's probably more obnoxious, in my opinion, than Venom or Captain America. For DPS, I'm going to do a lump sum for this first one, and then I'll get into specific heroes in a minute. But if the enemy is running heavy dive, mostly dive, you're going to have a little bit more of a harder time since your kick is so great at single target, not so much for if you have a Magic, a Spider-Man, and a Panther all on you at once. There won't be much you can do against that. Magic is only good against Widow because of her portals, but that's such a specifically strong thing that it's just makes her a good counter overall. If a Widow tries to initiate a stun on a magic that goes through her portal, the stun will not connect, it will not stun the magic, and the magic will leave the portal with a free kill on the Widow. Bear with me on this one, but if you want to make a Widow's life really annoying, go Namor and flank and focus the Widow, because as it stands right now, Widow can no longer one-shot Namor squids. It takes 2 shots minimum. So if you jump a Widow, throw both of your squids, and if she tries to kick you, you bubble away, she has to waste 4 shots, slow shots, on your squids, and you can just hop out after her kick's been wasted and get a free, easy kill on the Widow. There's actually not many support characters that counter Widow, but there are 2 notable exceptions. Adam, and bear with me, is annoying for Widow to play against. Especially with the use of his soul bonds, that makes your already admittedly kind of low single target damage significantly lower, and that means if you then hit a headshot while they're soul bonded, it's going to do zip nada nothing, and now they know where you are because everyone on the map has yelled that they've just seen a sniper. In terms of actual counters though, that would go to Loki. Just like Namor, Loki can spit out extra health pools in the form of 2 clones and 3 runes, 1 rune per clone. That's a lot of extra shooting for 1 kill. And as a Widow, it will be your job to get the clones and to get the runes. Now, after hearing all those counters that she has, you might be thinking, man, I wonder who Widow herself counters. I've got bad news for you. I'm not going to lie, she doesn't counter much. Flyers is a really, really, really good target for her. Widow does, of course, still counter dive like Spider-Man, but the moment the enemy gets more than 1 dive character, it becomes really hard for her to do anything. With the side nerf that Mantis boost can no longer let you one-shot 275, that means you can no longer one-shot out of Cloak ult unless you ult her first or you get the rest of your team to fire on her and you hit the perfect headshot. Widow is very good to play into Penny though. Her head hitbox is so comically large that you won't miss a headshot on her, and you can just stand far away and just shoot her nests until they're gone, and then there's not much the Penny can really do against you for that. Lots of Widow's matchups could go either way. It really will depend on the Widow player of if they land the kick. If not, they die. If they land it, yeah, you win. You should at least. She doesn't really hard counter much. Besides the flyers, besides any target with a large head. She's great into single target dive. She's bad into anything more than 2 if they target you. If you can't tell already, a lot of Widow's survivability comes down to purely her kick. A lot of good players that have fought Widows before will know how to bait out your kick. So then that means you as a Widow player need to learn how to get good and not get baited out by the enemy. Next, I would like to go over synergies that Widow has, because she actually does have quite a few. For tank, I think all of them work well with Widow. I don't think there's a single one that really hinders one or the other in terms of synergy. I think all tanks work great with Widow. For DPS, I personally prefer a DPS that can clean up kills or can get someone low enough that I can clean it up. So hit scan. So obviously Phoenix, Hela. Personally, I love having dive on my team. Give me a Spider-Man. Give me a BP. I'm okay with the Iron Fist. I don't want that, sir. But a BP, a Spider-Man that can go clean up the Luna, the Cloak and Dagger that's now 1 shot. Storm is also a great pick to pair with Widow. Storm's damage boost is great, same as Mantis, but then Storm can empower it, which means you can now 1-shot 275 targets, which means you can 1-shot Cloak and Dagger out of their ult with good timing. In terms of support, I love having a Rocket. The damage boost ult is great. I love having a Luna. I won't complain about a Sue. I will complain about Ultron. I'm too stupid to understand how your healing works. And obviously I can't forget about the Mantis. Even though with the boost you can no longer 1-shot 275 targets, be able to 1-shot in general is just a good feeling. With us now reaching the end of the guide, I am now going to quickly go over the settings that I personally use in game. Starting off with mouse settings, my DPI I use on my mouse is a little high. If you are instead a normal human being, you will want to use 800 DPI and 1.05 in-game sensitivity instead of 0.03 in-game sensitivity. For her ADS sensitivity, I use 0.65. Make sure you also change it for her team up since they're both set up differently. I have no real rhyme or reason for this one, it's just what feels right to me. The ADS will be something that you tailor to yourself very heavily. These settings are going to be if you want to copy my Crosshair. If you're on PC, it's going to be in the description. You can just go ahead and copy paste it. If you're on console, I don't believe you can copy paste, so you have to copy what you see on screen right now. I will also link any guides for console aiming on Widow if I can find any, just because I have absolutely no experience aiming with a controller on Widow, so I can't give you any tips from that. With that, that is going to be the end of this video. I do apologize if anything throughout this video sounds weird or off. This is my first time behind a microphone and the first time using any kind of video editing software. Never done this before. I'm going to try and get used to it. I hope it all came out well, and thank you for watching.